Hey, how you doing? Who am I talking with today?
Sharon Simon.
Sharon Simon, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. What do you do?
I'm a stand-up comic.
A stand-up comic. Very interesting career choice.
I didn't choose it, it chose me. And it's funny because people oftentimes ask me if they think that they should, if I think they should get into it. And it's like such a hard, complicated thing to do that I feel like it's only appropriate if you feel like you need to do it.
What do you mean need to do it? Like, what do you mean by need? Like,
So there's something about writing jokes and making things that hurt funny that appeal to certain people. You might know, or you might be somebody who does that. Like in a stressful time, we'll make a joke about it. And if you do that and you write consistently and you start getting accustomed to doing this on stage, there is something so amazing about being with a group of people and creating this energy together, this like party energy, this lighthearted energy. I love doing it. I'm propelled to do it. I'm propelled to write. I'm propelled to get to the next gig. I'm not saying I don't enjoy other aspects of life. I do, but it is not for everybody.
so I have a question. What's the difference between being like the class clown type funny person, somebody who can make people joke like, on the street or something like that, versus a stand-up comic who's there with expectations? What's the difference?
So I don't want to degrade anything about the class clown type of person. My dad was actually that type of person, and I have had friends in my life who are those kinds of people. I think those are the people who light up rooms with their friends and help people laugh at inside jokes and make things better at parties. And I think that's absolutely amazing. The difference is that to do that in a group of strangers and to do it originally, like you cannot retell jokes you've heard, you cannot rewrite things you've seen on television, and then anything that's an inside joke has to be inside for everybody in the room. So let's say if you're doing a show in New York and everybody there is from New York, there are jokes you can't do the second somebody from Canada walks in who doesn't understand the context. So we're constantly writing, we're constantly coming up with new things. And while that class clown might be at a party making their friends laugh, a comic is alone at a comedy club making strangers laugh or sitting at home writing.
Wow, that's really an interesting concept and like really well thought out. You've been doing so clearly, you've been around the game for a while.
Yeah.
Where has your comedy career taken you?
It's taken me all over the country, which I love. I have had opportunities in other countries, but I'm so scared of flying, and we're gonna get forward and over it. But that has kept me mostly in the country. So big things that I've done is I've been on Saturday Night Live, and I was featured on the Comedy Central roast for Patrice O'Neil. I've been a featured host in the NYC Pride Parade, and I just love performing. I don't want to list clubs because there are so many that I love. Where are you from?
I'm from New York.
So in New York, I perform at Broadway Comedy Club, Greenwich Village Comedy Club. Those are where I am more than anywhere else, but I also love any club that'll have me.
Nice. I really like to come out and see your show because you have such an engaging personality. You're really just such a really cool person. I just would really want to see more.
Thank you.
I have a question. We're at Exotica, right?
Yes.
What an interesting place this is. Some of the things that we're seeing and the things that we're learning here. This is a very sex positive environment. I have a question that might be a little bit pointed. What do you think about comedians who have like an OnlyFans?
All power to them. If they're able to do both and switch back and forth, I'm all for it. When I first started doing stand-up, I was a stripper. I was a stripper for a good amount of time. And I say that on stage. By today's standards, what I did would be considered burlesque exotic dancing. But back then it was considered stripping, just because I never gave lap dances, but I did take my clothes off and dance. And I think that being body positive and owning your own sexuality is such an important part of being a grown-up, and that we would get along with each other better if we all did that for ourselves, because then we go out into the world and see other people doing it and feel like, oh, they're doing their thing. It's all good.
No, that's really a cool answer, because a lot of people aren't sex positive. I think the social climate today is really leaning towards actually a lot of different directions, but it seems like, you know, there's a segment of the population who just, I guess, maybe want things behind closed doors, or they don't want, you know, it out like that. So to kind of piggyback on that concept, how do you think the climate today socially has impacted comedy?
So that has been an interesting progression. I would say pre-pandemic, people were so sensitive to jokes that you had to be so careful with everything you said. And when I first started doing stand-up, we were in a culture where you can say anything, go ahead, offend people. Now there's this feeling of like making sure that nobody in the audience is triggered, and sometimes people forget that we as comics, our job is to make you happy. So maybe you didn't like that joke, but we didn't hit you. We didn't mean to make you unhappy. You just didn't like that joke, and we want to move on and hope you like the next joke. You go to a concert, maybe there's a song you don't like, but you then don't feel like you hate the band because they wrote this one bad song. But since the pandemic, I think people have gotten a little bit eased up a tiny bit. We're not back where we were 20 years ago, and I don't even know that we should be. Sometimes the work to make a joke not offensive is the work that goes into being a stand-up comic, because if it's funny enough, it's probably not going to be offensive.
Wow, so that's really a difference between some of the comedians who say we can't say what we want to say. But you're right. Maybe it's time to like kind of work harder as a culture to kind of, if not be not a non-offensive, but to make things, you know, a little bit better for other people. You know what I mean?
We also can't choose the time we're in. Like if you want comedy to be the way it was when like Lenny Bruce was working toward making freedom of speech the way it is, like getting it more toward the direction he wanted.
Or even a minstrel show. That was construed as a really minstrel show was construed as comedy. So if you want to take it back to a minstrel show, chances are you can do that. But I think what people may not realize is, you know, that you realize is that like freedom of speech has its consequence.
Yeah.
No matter, even if you're making everyone laugh, someone's going to hate what you say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great way to put it.
Wow. So this is really, really interesting. I think, you know, is there any way you could give your social media so that way people could kind of follow you?
Absolutely. So I know you had said you do a lot on Twitter. I'm more on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. On everything, my name is Sharon Simon, and my website is Simon Says Laugh. My Instagram is Simon_Says Laugh, as is my YouTube.
Well, I'm going to put all your social media out there, like a link tree or something like that, so everyone can follow, because you're such a cool person.
Thank you.
And it seems like you put the hard work into comedy that needs to be done instead of just haphazardly just saying stuff. Because I think those days are over. It's time to elevate the art form, and seems like you're out there doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.